Okay, so today I was moved to look back into my journals from 10 to 9 years ago just to see what was going on at this time because it's such a intense passage energetically, and I'm curious, especially because a lot of the things I've been going through personally, spiritually, have been coinciding with this very large clearing and series of awakenings that I've been going through for the last 10 years and a little bit longer than that. So I offer these passages to people who are struggling or going through depression or mental health issues or dark nights of the soul. It wasn't just, a few months or a few weeks for me. It was years of dipping into deep depression, and I wrote about it the entire time. So I'm gonna read. This is November of 2014, and it was the second time that I had to leave school to go get some assistance. This is right before I ended up going. Today I was evaluated at the psychiatric program at blah, blah, blah. Same bigger thing as the other program, but for mood disorders. I was offered a spot starting as early as Thursday. The people who have been helping me really say that there is nothing I can't accommodate. I can reduce my course load. I can take a leave of absence. Everything is in my hands. What I'm really struggling with is I don't even want to take a leave of absence because that involves coming back. Reflecting on being here, my discomfort has come from everything about basic life in classes, my own struggles, but more than that, not being able to tolerate or coexist with other students. I don't even have anything to show for this. I'm not picking fights with people. I'm not fully giving my heart to my work and letting their works and processes inform my growth. It's just very tension-filled. I have a psychiatry appointment tomorrow night after glass blowing. I could convince myself to go home right now, and that is not the right thing to do. But I could also let the strong and more decisive outside voices tell me to stay and tough it out. Quote, life is difficult, unquote. That was number 1 on a list of bulleted things in my evaluation yesterday that I had to check off. I need to find it in myself to meet the people who are trying to help me halfway and be able to say and mean that I have commitment to doing this life here and also working towards wellness. That's inconceivable because I am here, but I'm actively avoiding everything in life other than ... food, I suppose. It feels like too much to be called out to XYZ activities. People recognizing me, which is getting rarer and rarer, automatically locks me up and forcibly gets me attempting interactions that won't leave them feeling completely questionable of my social abilities, maybe. Life is supposed to get better from here. I've been told that therapy will help, but I don't want to have to change and be here. I want to become a livelier, more passionate person on my own time and have a new start somewhere where I won't have to address my defective past attempts at undergraduate life. Insert name of advisor. Said I could see through my classes till the end of the semester if I wanted, or just take it day by day. The value of that to me is strikingly annoying. It's like, yeah, I could go tomorrow, I could go the next day, but I feel like I've just drawn more inward on myself and I'm still living in complete pain. Other name of advisor wanted me to recognize how nothing will be enough right now because I'm depressed and living life like it is a huge fucking drag, even though I have a solid promise lying ahead where I'll have time built into my days designed to help me start feeling better. There's still this greater unspeakable despair simply in the process that life itself is tearing me apart. I don't like the people I encountered today. Those people in their desk jobs, no, ... You may think you're okay, but I can't help myself from judging everything about you, and while it's lovely that you appear happy, organized, and satisfied with how things are for you, I become more depressed observing this state, knowing it could never leave me fulfilled. And I know my education is supposed to lift me into higher realms of possibility for making money with creativity, but I am losing myself as a person right now. There's also supposed to be a lot of personal growth and exploration instead of hiding and becoming a complete fearful recluse. I cannot answer if it's right for me to attempt an undergraduate education elsewhere, but that is what I think. I want to write it out and see what adds up. How can I make this life work for me? How? I don't see the value in my art as a life path. I didn't say that to my advisor today, but it was more of a loud and aggravating thorn in my side. Yes, I have all these wonderfully flexible means of continuing and beginning to start my treatment, but I am doing the work to do the work, and I don't love it. I'm looking forward to making a life by creating things, ? I am perfecting my skill set of fine art creation for that purpose? I guess so. Why is that good enough for so many others? I am struggling. I want so badly to have never lost any of my friends, ever. I've never really felt so alone in my life. I wish for my bonds from earlier when I had the social security of a very confident, popular girl. That was squelched out of me through thinking I understood life. But having life strike me down through thinking people will just keep accepting me no matter what, because we have a lineage to our friendship. I suppose that when you become as shamelessly crazy as I did, that type of shit is useless. It makes sense in that they don't understand you anymore and connect. And that's what friendship is. And without it, friendships are fake. And who wants that or would even have faith in even trying to let it bloom into something better and more natural? I am a sad bunny. I am a thoroughly depressed soul. And I think it's about my space now. I think it is that I need to go somewhere else and do something different. Or am I truly just an angsty person, innately unhappy with what is right before me? I feel truly directionless. I think some of my sadness is about feeling like I've already given up and gone home. Then I realize I haven't. I reassess and value all of my resources and my life here, and I try to let that pull me back into this commitment, but it's hopelessly muddied by the people around me and the ties. I don't want to acknowledge any of this. My mom asked me yesterday, is that just the depression talking? Like, I don't know, Mom, it's me talking. This is me trying so fucking hard to say something that could help any of us help me. I really wish for an angel to tell me what to do. And fuck, I'll go to my classes tomorrow, but that means I'm not going to ex-boyfriend's house tonight. I should go home to my room, call and reflect with my support person, and then get a good rest. There's so many layers of complication to this. Real quality fuck this mentality. And that's what people would look at and say, well, you're not going to get better. Well, I just need hope and inspiration, I guess, blah, 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 blah. Well, I got up today and I'm on track to go to class. I think, in part, it's glass blowing that's making me do the day. I would have easily blown off the first class alone. It feels wrong in every possible way. I felt bad about myself getting dressed, and even though I lay awake last night, and flowed a lot of better feeling thoughts about how I could enjoy life if I did enjoy living, or at least if I wasn't entirely in pain, I am still not feeling this whole being awake thing. Mom suggested I really try to diary my scale about my moods. I mean, I guess a program will make me do that anyway, but I don't know how to really differentiate between feeling like I can't go through with the day and just being plain miserable. I can recognize anger as being present. I get so angry so easily at the pants, on the ground, by my feet, anything. Right now, I really am so tempted to go back to bed. I feel unhappy. I feel unwell. I don't want to do any of this. I even woke up at 6:30 at ex-boyfriend's house because I ended up going there anyway after I tried to sleep in my own space. I was restless. I couldn't sleep. I didn't want to go, but I had a really bad headache that is particular to a certain kind of withdrawal. How can I justify or explain another miss today? I really feel like even after deciding to keep going and doing this new program, I can't do it. I can't keep going. An old friend wrote me such a heartfelt letter that made me want to be happy, but it was a little saddening just because she clearly cares so much, and it causes me just to feel the hopelessness of my own situation, how I can't change for anybody. Something about hearing someone respond to me adds a kind of sorrow to the very existence of friendships that I still do have in this world. What could I do or say to convince myself not to go back to bed right now? I feel so sadly for the names of my glass blowing instructors in thinking that I won't be able to go to that class today. That's too bad. We were finally going to make some cups. I worry so much about how I can be okay and continue while every day is such misery and sadness like this. I have so much irritation for the other students. God, how do I get rid of that? Fuck, they didn't do anything to me except exist in a space and place overlapping with the one I'm notably not being able to enjoy, let alone tolerate. I'm so on edge. I'm convincing myself right now that I can only cry, so I feel more justified in returning to bed. Person saw me when I'm writing. Now I'm worried that she's going to come talk to me. All of this is useless. I could say I just want to go into the hospital and they would take me and care for me, but it would just be an escape. It wouldn't make me feel like I was doing any better or capable of good feelings. I really don't want to do this day, but I'm already awake. How does that even work? Can I get credit for moving from my Tempur-Pedic mattress at 6:30 a.m. at least? For not just getting back in bed at 7 when I got home? Regardless of what I'm about to go do, just give me some credit without having to think about actual course credits. Other person who had depression at this time texted me. She asked me how I can even do school because she can barely work. Person who saw me writing is going to go tell the teacher that I'm alive and I'm trying to skip class. She might make some publicly inappropriate, insensitive, uninformed comment about me sleeping in or something. I just really want to get out. It's 8:20 and I can feel myself slipping back into my bed. Feeling horrible, just horrible. Because now I am skipping. Well, I was kind of excused by my psychiatric evaluation, I guess, but I don't really know where I stand. I'm going to quarantine myself in this dirty room that I just keep tossing clothes into the corners of and making it smell more and more like a pair of my dirty panties. Tonight is XYZ party. That is interesting to think about parties. Well, hey, I actually experienced one now that I reflect on having been here since the last time I had to leave and go back. Why can't I get myself to do shit or be places? I could be being too hard on myself, but isn't allowing the skippage and back to bedness an incredible amount of respect for my condition? Probably not. Maybe I will say I have to exercise if I'm going to skip class today. I have to. And then I have to make up for glass blowing from skipping it later. It is so unfortunate that I can't really make up outside work. Like, fuck, do I have to always be around and normalizing my experience into that of my peers? What do I even mean by that, right? Haha, I feel a strong irritation in being in situations of learning alongside people, and that's completely inexcusable, irrational, and not to be accommodated. Fuck everything. I really should make a conditional about skipping class and say I must exercise to make up for it without compromise. I am seeing name of certain professional at 5 p.m. I will rise for that. I can and I will. And I will exercise. But what am I going to do about fucking glass blowing? I can't do that. Dear universe, please help me. Help me. Help me and offer me strength and answers and guide me into a safer space in which I don't feel incapable and lazy and like a complete struggle in every sense of the word. I need protection. I need love. I need help in cultivating this for myself. Please, dear God, help me get to a better place. I so desperately need to get to a better place. The world will carry on, but I just need love. I'm afraid to talk to my parents again and say that I really do actually want to come home. I can't stay here. Even after the phone call that we had the other night when we talked and I talked about staying through the end of the semester, we all emphasized the importance of getting that at least under my belt. It was added that the reason behind the original statement of wanting me to come home was because of ex-boyfriend and the unhealthy influence they think that he has on me and my mental health. Well, I did it. I went back to bed for 5 hours. Goodbye, day. Now I'm sitting here eating a salad, or staring at it, like my bedridden form even needs to refuel. Mom suggested I listen to an Abraham Hicks lecture called Using Art as a Tool for Alignment. It has only further reminded me that I'm only to be choosing things that make me happy, so I can be attracting good things. My question is it toxic or counterproductive to be knowingly in a bad place in order to tie up loose ends or just finish the semester? I don't really have another way. Well, I think I'm doing it. I have another meeting with a certain person to have a more final conversation about me leaving. Talking to XYZ person on the phone last night was very good for me. Maybe all the good feelings now are because I finally went back to the motherfucking gym. It's likely to be having an impact on my mood, but I don't trust any fleeting brief feeling. It's always replaced with the chasm of doom. Last night I was considering something about my depression in the sense that it cripples the emotional scale, and it is as if I am completely incapable of responding to people and events in an authentic way. Authenticity assumes a state of flux where I can react to things and feel because of them, rather than stay flatlining as a completely indifferent person. But then I also am aware of real world issues like my relationships and my drama that enforce staying in a place of perpetual worry and negative self-talk. It's like they fuel my inability to consciously work my way up the emotional guidance scale. Well, not past anger at least, but in making the decisions to leave, it's like I sweep all of them right off the table, so even if I am worrying, they won't reach me soon. The only solace in leaving is that none of this will be able to touch me. There's a lot of inevitable sadness in leaving, but I believe that's a minority feeling, and it will not hold me back from easing my way into better feeling thoughts when I do find that I can move again. I suddenly kind of worry too about going home and not feeling so depressed, but just being bored and annoyed with having run away. The issue is that I do change my mind often. I don't know what I want. I'm capable of drastic polar changes of heart, or not being so depressed for a minute, and then feeling like the girl who cried life-threatening depression. Each time I run through these reasons in my mind, I'm able to accept a little more that I want to change, even if these are fleeting capacities to tell myself to keep going and be in a mindset of strength and tolerance. The overarching meaningful part of that is that I have to try so hard to think myself into the goodness of hanging on. It's so sad to me that mom and dad are so fully behind me. That's so backwards, but they're too good and too trusting of me. I guess I should feel empowered to make my own decisions, but I have delusional parts of me, and we all have to stop thinking that I am in a wise mind and can make these decisions at all. I'm afraid to present my decision to name of health advisor because of seeming like a quitter and just running away and potentially putting myself in a worse space. If I have structure in my day at home, I think I'll feel supported enough. I am going to attempt ultra mindfulness around eating. I cannot take that home with me. I know how to work and manipulate everything at home to be such a dark doom's pit of floundering as a true soul underneath the compulsive, manic, lying, wasting money, time, and energy lifestyle. Last night I went to person's house with the intention of telling him about me leaving. As he has in the past, he slowly inched on to me with feet touching, then head resting on me. Then, in response to me, more jokingly than I should have been, saying things like, "How about that other 2/3 of the couch?" He took it as me acknowledging, but not protesting. So he got on top of me and put his hands up my shirt, and I pulled them back out and turned my face away. I was actually really impressed with my ability to keep this up. Usually I'd break down a little bit and phase into old feelings or a place of empathy with them and let it all happen. We did make out twice, but I was proud of myself for saying no to staying over and even calling an Uber because the buses were done for the night. I tried to tell him I didn't want to because there was a strong part of me that doesn't want to complicate the fact that I'm leaving. He only pushed back by saying, that still means there's a part of you that does. And then I said, but I'm choosing to act on the part of me that doesn't. You need to hear me making decisions and be better at accepting them. I felt shitty saying that because of our muddled history, but that's just it. I need to act on the words I choose to give him. Okay, going to psychiatric appointment now. Brother left me a voicemail this morning saying, so I guess you're thinking about leaving again. And although there was no particular emphasis on the word again, it just burns. It burns in my mind, it burns in my soul, like a piece of ash that's moving through all the layers. I'm going to have lunch with grandmother tomorrow, and I guess I'll tell her. I feel so shitty about it, because I myself have been in a really indecisive place. So much that having made the decision is even still almost as terrifying as not knowing. So now explaining to others why I think it's the right thing to do is so pressuring, but more necessary than people would tell me. I don't owe explanations, but I just want to know my own. Now, ex-boyfriend is in psychiatric facility. I don't even know why I can't talk to him. He's being held involuntarily. I guess he had a rage episode of some kind, or his advisor wants him to be there because of 2 days ago rage episode occurring in public setting, including description of violent behavior. Here's the end of this bittersweet journal, just like my time at school, I suppose. Please let better days follow and for my light to shine without shame. Yeah, so this little book was 2014, 2013, and this was a stage of my journaling when earlier in my journaling, when I was grappling with an eating disorder, all I would catalog was where I was, what I was eating. I mean, some of this, I had periods of seeking treatment and support in programs for stabilizing eating disorder behaviors and mental health issues. And then I would learn a lot about therapeutic techniques and mindfulness tools, and I would take that back out into the world, and it contributed to the way I journaled. So I would be very, very diligent because of the way things had been in my first recovery program. I was always keeping track because I had to work with a dietitian of, what the contents of my food was, like very, very set portions. And it was something that I did for accountability in my treatment program, but when I got out of that and wasn't healthy and wasn't able to continue with my healing and I slid back into unhealthy behaviors, it became like an OCD, really. I've got journals that are full of me just cataloging like what I ate, and this is just trigger warning for anybody around eating disorder stuff. If anybody ever hears this and knows somebody who struggles with disordered eating, or you do yourself, please do email me. I know firsthand how it can really, it becomes your whole, if that's your truth and that's your secret that you're hiding from the world and you're blaming yourself and you can't change, it becomes your whole world. It becomes everything. It is the thing that you are thinking about all day, every day. And it's very, very, very hard to deal with. And a lot of people don't understand that it's so much less about body image, than it has to do with why we develop these things in the first place and needing a sense of safety and control and security within our own lives, and developing these patterns as means to control things when we feel very out of control. And it took me, I think I've shared this before, it took me about 8 years to get over my eating disorder. It takes a long time. It doesn't mean that it's not possible. Not everything I was dealing with in these passages of really deep, dark depression was related to that. I also had substance abuse things going on in very toxic and abusive relationships back then. So, yeah, I was going to say, if anybody, if anybody does have issues with that or know anybody that does, please, like, I beg of you, send me an email. Even just to tell somebody, because I won't tell anybody. I won't give you unsolicited advice if you don't want it. But I didn't have anybody, there was nobody who understood. There were eventually, and more and more I took myself out of the voice that you hear writing the passages is like, I can't do it. I'm alone in the world and life is not worth living. And that is genuinely how I felt day after day after day. It was excruciating. I didn't understand how to exist. And nobody should feel like that. And a lot of people do, unfortunately, feel that way. And it wasn't for a few more years until I found my first spiritual mentor who helped me understand why I'm different and why I never felt like other people, and all these different like special abilities that I possess that are more in the realm of energetic healing and psychic intuition. There was no context in my reality or the people that were trying to take care of me for understanding that in any way. And a lot of the time when I was at my treatment programs, social workers, the therapists, they would come to me and they would say, Mariah, you're doing a great job of giving everybody else feedback about their predicaments during our group counseling, but you're not talking about yourself. You only talk about other people and try to help them. And I said, like, yeah, I mean, it took me a very long time to be able to take a lot of the abilities that I possess to hold space for other people and help them onto myself. And I'm only in the position to help people now because of how much I gave to myself and built myself back up. And I know that, we know this, everybody's fighting a tough battle, but, there's photos from me in my life, a few, photos on the internet, social media, whatever. I look back at pictures of myself from that time, and there's so many things that were never, there's just so many glaring gaps in what we can capture, even through our own memories and journals. Nothing is really as it seems. A lot of people who have every reason in the world to be happy, and they hate themselves because they're not, and they don't know why. I chose to read that because it was one of the passages where, the journals, honestly, they're boring as heck because you read through them and all I'm doing is complaining in this existential, like, I don't want to do this way. Page after page after page, just weeks and weeks and weeks of me going around school, trying to talk to people, feeling painfully incapable of relating to people, being as sensitive as I am, feeling people pull away from me and stop caring, just fading into the distance, becoming one with the mattress. It's not a good read. It's not. But it's important to acknowledge, for my sake, and also just for, this is, the whole YouTube channel is in the style of video logging. And I always know, I even have bottles and bottles of old medication. As an artist and a creative person, I'm like, you think I'm going to throw these out? I can make a mandala with pills or something, There's so much from different parts of my journey that are coming back around to help me understand as I find myself in just a new chapter of life, like a much better place. I could cry. Telling you, if that version of myself could see where I am today, like, I really, almost didn't make it a few times. I really didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do any of it. And I don't want for people to feel that way. Of course, none of us want for people to feel that way, but I would like to help people out of that space. Not by force, because I know how I talked about that space, and I know that my darkness and depression is not going to be the same as anybody else's. But it was so strange to have, because I've always had a pretty self-aware consciousness. So watching myself respond to people, talking to people, like my mother saying, is it just the depression talking, and me being like, I don't fucking know. I'm trying my hardest to say anything. So yeah, it probably is the depression talking. We have a lot of people in the modern day, blah, 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 are evolved methods of healing and therapies and everything. And there's so many gifted practitioners out there now that are not just gonna tell you what the solution is or how to fix it, or they're a lot slower to medicate than they used to be, and all of that is good and well. But a lot of the things that I'm pulling together to create a healing practice that I can offer to other people eventually is it's going to be built on listening, emptying the vessel of what it is that is being dealt with and working through that. And it's not really necessarily by force. There's so many different ways to untangle the energy and the energetic components of depressive states. It doesn't have to be through talk therapy. It can come through so many different modalities, and I understand right now so much about my ability to connect with the energy of another human body, and like even simply by being around the frequency that I can channel for the purposes of healing and clearing without even talking, just by sitting with somebody, I can help them. I know that now, and I'm starting to understand in much deeper ways the implications of different customizations to these healing modalities. And I'm just putting this out there into the ethers so that people can, I don't know, if you have somebody in your life who you're worried about, who might need to, and like, this is not my service yet, I'm not ready to launch it. I'm not. Everything in due time, Knight of Pentacles energy. But more and more as I like enter this phase of my life that I'm going to be doing things in, I've got people who will just, the other day, someone was saying to me, you might make a very good mentor for this person. Can they contact you? That's the space I'm in. I'm here to support people with different parts of their journey, be it whatever it is. Even though I'm not married, I've never been married, I'm not a parent, I can support you with certain kinds of like marital relationship things. I'm very, very wise when it comes to undoing the toxic programming and patterns within relationships. There's a lot of different ways that I want to be able to kind of open forum for people to contact me if they need help with things. And so that's the reason of this video today, not to be a downer, but just to remember that the wheel always turns. If you're in a dark place, it's not going to last forever. And I only believe that the darkness that I went through when I was younger, and its many different passages, has helped me be who I am today with the amount of conviction that I possess to be able to give that to other people. Very specific paths that some of us have, especially if you have any connection to the terms around indigo children, starseed light worker. There might be early, deep, intense traumas and loneliness and trials so that you're ready to handle what it is you're meant to do to help heal the collective. So that's certainly been my path, and I've just been super overwhelmed with so many of the things, even though they're long behind me. So many of the things that I don't struggle with anymore that used to make it impossible for me to live for 10 minutes without feeling like I needed to go bury into a hole underground and disappear. These things have been out of my life for a very long time. But I've been dealing with PTSD and thoughts about my own identity and how people see me. I went through a deep period of losing all connections and friends and having to leave school, go back, leave school, go back. After, forging friendships and trying to bond with people in a new collegiate academic setting, and then falling out of step immediately, and then again, and just, there was so many deeper levels to my feeling othered that in the years to follow, in my actual health, mental wellness, being stabilized, a lot of what I have kind of taken forward from that period is just being able to accept that all of it happened and that I'm better for it, and not anticipate being received poorly based on the way that I was received when I was not well. Forgiving that version of myself, forgiving all the people that contributed to my journey in a way that harmed me, and forgiving myself for not being responsible and making other people's lives worse or more complicated in the ways that I did when I was not healthy. So I also didn't have this potato yet. And this potato is just, he's just the best. Bye, potato. Love you. Okay. Again, I hope that doesn't make people depressed. Honestly, I just think that it's me experimenting with different ways of sharing again, and there's no reason to take the video further. So if you know somebody who wants to chat about something that's profoundly challenging, they're welcome to get in touch with me. My email is wordsmithoftheEmpyreal@gmail.com. And I encourage people to even, like, who knows, maybe you're like, why do you keep saying this, Mariah? Everyone's good. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. I just know in the collective energies that a lot of people are not good. So even if you wanted to use that email and you could put, no reply in the subject, just to scream into the void and vent, I will not judge you. I will not judge you. Some of the things that I thought about and felt like when I was younger, yeah, there are passages in here when I talk about not liking anybody around me, and I'm like, why am I like this? They didn't do anything to me. There are other thoughts and times throughout these periods of darkness where I spoke negatively, bad, had evil, bad thoughts. That's part of not feeling good and being down and unwell and not seeing things clearly. I don't stand in a position of trying to correct anybody else, but just wanting to be a resource to help people understand what they're going through and move through it if they're interested in doing that. I personally know from experience how hard it is to even want to fix your problem if you're not doing well too. That's the biggest hurdle, I think. If you're in a place or you know somebody who has a problem or an addiction or is struggling, to even want to get out of that at all is really hard. So I think I've said it about a dozen ways. If you need support with your mental health or addictions or not understanding your own whatever psychic gifting or intuitive stuff, I think if somebody's been watching my videos for a little while now, you understand enough about yourself and how I talk to know if you have some type of, well, I'll share this example. I'll share this example. I met someone, sometimes you meet people, right? You just do. I met someone at some point who I could tell had not led a life being exposed to certain spiritual concepts, but immediately, instantaneously, within about 45 seconds of meeting this person, I felt energetically in the knowing way that I possess, that I get, or I was talking the other day about the practitioner from the quantum hypnotherapy healing session, how her clairsentience, claircognizance, is just a deep sense of knowing. And I said, I get that too, but sometimes, most of the time, 98% of the time, I get visions first, or I simply hear. So I had this knowing about this person instantly upon meeting them. You perceive reality at a higher level than everybody around you. And you know that on some level, but you don't know what to call it. Maybe you've been told that you're smart or you're good at understanding people or whatever it is. Maybe certain things, especially when you were younger, like, the things that you would hear if people said things about you. I knew without a doubt that this person had a deeply spiritual bone in their body and ability. But I also could sense, again, it was all bundled together, this immediate knowing upon meeting this person, that there was not like the context within the consciousness to understand any of that. And on the contrary, there had been conscious elements fueled within the perception of reality that put all of that gifting, like high-level shamanic gifting, away because they cannot exist in the same space, other values that come in through society. So there's like a lot of things, there's a lot of people, in fact, that will never find my work or gravitate towards it because it's completely against anything that they believe in. It doesn't mean that they're not equipped with the way that they're designed and their own energy and their lineage and their reincarnation path and all of their past lives, simultaneous selves, really. It doesn't mean that that their life isn't trying to activate them. Because like I said before, with going through these deep passages of struggle, that is sometimes how life gets us, like, you know, to find the light, really, is by putting us through pain. So I don't really think that anybody would find these videos if they weren't open to spiritual stuff. But my point in saying all that is that you don't necessarily have to believe in it in order for it to work for you. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to believe that a crystal has a resonance and can change the frequency of your body in order to hold it and have it do that. So I return again to the fact that I am not a practitioner of anything right now. Everything that I do and provide and offer is free because I want that interaction, and I want time being able to help people and understand and refine some of the ways that, like, my personal gifts when it comes to healing are changing and evolving, so that when I do launch the practice, I know exactly what to do and how to talk about it and what I can offer to people. So if you would like to have some type of, like, support session of any kind, I'll even pull cards for you, then send me an email. Okay. Bye.